Hey guys, it's Chris at Highline Guitars. You're watching another one of my YouTube guitar building videos. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I hope that by the end of this video, I'll have earned the honor and privilege of your subscription. The other day, a viewer posted a comment on one of my videos where he stressed that the only way you can experience maximum playability in a guitar is to have that guitar plecked. Now, there's a part of me that agrees with that statement, but there's also a part of me that doesn't agree with it. As you know, I love CNC technology. I've had 3 CNC machines in my shop, and I'm currently using one right now, which I use on a regular basis to make my guitars. I rely on it heavily to take the designs that I've created on my computer and then carve those out of wood. So the CNC machine is basically making the body, the neck, and the fretboard. It's an amazing tool. I love it. A Plek machine uses the same technology. CNC Technology, computer numeric control. And what it does, in a nutshell, is it does all your fretwork. Now there's a lot more to it, and it's rather complicated and very sophisticated. I'll post a link to a video up above to a video on the Plek channel here on YouTube that explains it more in detail. But just know that in a nutshell, it does all the fretwork for you. It can scan the guitar, it can determine its current state, and then from there it can do the fretwork so that in the end you have a guitar that is at its maximum in terms of playability. However, even though the Plek machine is an amazing tool, and it's been around for a long time, I think the first ones came out back in the 1980s, so it's been around for about 35, 40 years. It's matured to a point where its performance is without question. However, some of the greatest music ever recorded was recorded before the Plek machine even existed. And back in those days, we used some very basic techniques to level, crown, and dress our frets. And that's really where the skill of the luthier came in. Those techniques are still used to this day. However, a Plek machine can do it perhaps faster, perhaps more accurately, and that allows a luthier who is producing a large number of guitars to ensure that the quality is without question on every single instrument that they put out. However, a Plek machine, as you might imagine, is extremely expensive. I've tried to figure out how much a Plek machine would cost in my shop, and so far I haven't heard any numbers that I can rely on. All I can say at this point is the price probably is somewhere north of $100,000 for the machine, and I'm sure fully equipped it's probably a lot more than that. And they have different levels. They've got the Plek Station, the Plek Pro, and it really just depends on how you're going to use the machine. Are you doing repairs? Are you doing low-level production or high-level production? And that's what's going to determine which Plek machine would be best for you. However, in thinking about the Plek machine and what it does, I've often had a thought that I continue to swirl around in my head, and that is, when a guitar is plecked, after it's finished, does the operator hand the guitar over to the customer and call it done? Or does the operator have to test play the guitar before they turn it over to the owner or the customer? And I think it's pretty obvious and quite clear that the operator is always going to test play the guitar before they turn it over to the customer. And that is to ensure that the work that was done correctly and that the guitar functions as it should. So that kind of begs the question, if the Plek machine is so great, why would you have to test play it? In theory, you should be able to pleck the guitar and then put the strings on, tune it up, intonate it, set the action, and then just hand it to the owner, and it should be perfect. But I don't think there's an operator out there who would be willing to do that. They're always going to test it to make sure that it works. Now, some of you are going to say, well, yeah, but the Plek machine can't put the strings on, can't tune them, can't intonate them, and can't set the action. Well, all of those can be done numerically. We know what we're going to tune the strings to. We know what gauge strings we're going to install, and we have a pretty good idea of what the action is going to be based on what the customer has specified. So in theory, you should be able to set it all up after plekking it and just hand it right to the customer, and it should play perfectly. But like I said, I don't think there's a single operator out there who's going to do that. So in the end, that kind of begs the question, is it really worth the money to spend you know, what it costs to buy a Plek machine? Or is it better just to stick with the tried and true method, using a leveling beam and crowning files and such? Years ago, I built a guitar for a customer where, as I was finishing up the guitar, the customer contacted me and said that they would like me to ship the guitar to a business that has a Plek machine, because he wanted the guitar to be plekked before it was sent to him. And I said, of course, we can do that, but it's going to cost you whatever that company is going to charge to plek it. And he was fine with that, including the cost of shipping it. So after the guitar was finished, I boxed it up and shipped it off to the company that was going to do the plek work. When they got the guitar, they put it on their Plek machine, they scanned it, and then they called me up and said, "What are we doing with this guitar?" And I said, "Well, you know, whatever you do with the Plek machine, plek it." And they said, "Well, based on our scan, it doesn't need anything. It's fine as is." And we'd be kind of, it would be irresponsible for us to charge you for work that doesn't need to be done. And I said, "Well, okay, in that case, why don't you go ahead and ship it back to me and I'll send it off to the customer." What happened was, I had done the fret work prior to shipping the guitar out, and the work I did was sufficient to be considered perfect. No work needed to be done. So that kind of told me that I'm capable of achieving that level of fretwork, Plek machine level fretwork. And I'm sure that it may have been a fluke. I mean, who knows? But I performed the fretwork the same way I do on every guitar that I build. So I kind of came to the conclusion that I can do just as good a work using traditional techniques as a Plek machine does. So it doesn't make sense for me to ever consider investing in purchasing a Plek machine. I can always ship guitars to those companies that have Plek machines and have them do the work for me and just include that cost in the cost of the guitar. However, I'm concerned that if I ship a guitar from my environment to another environment, have the Plek work done, and then have it shipped back to my environment, stuff's going to move. And I can't be totally confident that the work that was done is going to be it's going to hold true through all that shipping. And then, of course, I have to ship it to the customer. So, I kind of think it's best for me to do the fret work myself, the way I've always done it, then ship the guitar to the customer after doing a lot of test playing and ensuring that everything is done correctly. But as I always tell my customers, or anybody who buys my guitars, once you get the guitar, there's a chance you're going to have to put it through a setup. Because of the what happens to a guitar as you ship it through different climates. If I ship a guitar from Colorado to Florida or from Colorado to California, there could be some issues that will occur as a result of shipping it through those environments. Different levels of humidity, different temperatures, and so on. So I always encourage the people who buy my guitar to have a good relationship with a local luthier that they trust, who can examine the guitar if necessary. I don't think you should automatically have a luthier check it. I think it should just be checked if there's an issue. If you notice some string buzz after you receive the guitar, then you might want to have a local luthier in the environment where you live who can check it and make any necessary adjustments to get the guitar as playable as possible. But I just think it's kind of silly for me to send a guitar to somebody to have it plekked and then send it back to me, and then me test it, make sure it's okay, and then send it to the customer. All that shipping is going to mess things up, or it has the potential to mess things up. It's not a guarantee, but there is a pretty strong likelihood. You know, if you're a touring musician, you know what happens to your guitars as you travel around the country or around the world, and what can happen. You always have to have either a really good guitar tech with the right tools, or you yourself have to know how to do the work and have the right tools. So at any rate, I hope you found this video to be useful and informative and perhaps thought-provoking. If so, give it a thumbs up. Be sure to visit my eGuitar Plans web store or my Highline Guitars merch store. There's links in the description below. And any purchase you make there is going to help support this channel so I can keep making videos about building guitars. And if you want to keep it simple, you can just click the thanks button and leave a tip in the amount that you think is fair. At any rate, I hope you'll be back for more future guitar building videos.